It's Jay from ASMR for Nerds. So today, I'm going to do something that has been requested. Hey guys, it's Jay from ASMR for Nerds. Today, I'm going to do something that's been requested several times. I know you guys, many of you do not regularly read comics or don't read comics at all and have expressed some interest in getting into it. Now, although there are a million issues out that come out week to week, I feel like that's a bit daunting for the first time reader. Just knowing what's what and what to pick up and where are good starting points. And I do plan on doing a video that focuses on starting points with issues. But today I decided let's start with trades because it's easier, I think, for a new reader to get involved in trades because it does package up several issues into a clean little book that can be read like, a graphic novel. So that's how a lot of people start getting into comics as they're older, through graphic novels. So I have taken quite a pile of some of my favorite trades. Now these aren't necessarily my absolute favorite stories because some of them I have in issues and not in trades. Some things I collect in both just because if I absolutely love it. So some of these I do have in issues as well. But I'm sticking with only trades this time, and then I will do another video suggesting modern comics to pick up if you're interested in getting started. So, the first book I thought is appropriate. Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come is it's a very popular story amongst comic book fans. Take away the story itself, just the names Mark Waid and Alex Ross. Mark Waid, of course, I think this is the book that really catapulted him into being one of the go-to names for comics. And Alex Ross is the guy who basically does these amazing paintings. Normally, Alex Ross sticks to just doing covers. But here, he actually did the entire story, which is rare. It does happen time to time. But this was quite an undertaking, I'm sure. So Kingdom Come is about basically, the short of it is there's a new slew of superheroes, a younger version, a younger generation, and they're kind of acting irresponsibly a bit with their powers. They're a bit egotistical. And the older superheroes, here we have the Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, they're coming along to see it. You could tell they're like older versions of themselves. He's got gray hair and wrinkles and stuff. And they kind of come along and trying to teach the new kids how to do it, how to be superheroes in the right way. See, look at Green Lantern, look how cool that is. This is worth picking up for the art alone. But the story is one of the best of all time when it comes to comic books. And I don't just say that, I am being 100% serious. This is a classic amongst classics. And you could find it cheap on Amazon for about $10, I think. Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. Next, 1 by Matt Fraction. Now this is not my absolute favorite. Now this is I think this is a great book and a great story arc. In this first one in particular, volume 1. But this is an important book in the Marvel Universe. Hawkeye before this was not really a significant character. He had his fan base. But this book really made him kind of one of those cool indie niche characters. He lives in Brooklyn, in a Brooklyn apartment complex. So he lives in an apartment complex in Brooklyn. And he's kind of dealing with, it kind of shows the human side of Hawkeye, of Clint Barton. It kind of explores a bit his insecurities with being the only non-superpowered Avenger. So he gets hurt, and he has issues with finances and that sort of thing. But it's just like kind of a very, I guess, hip take on his superhero. Of course, he lives in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, but if that's your thing, kind of modern, stylized, hip kind of stuff, this is definitely the way to go. Hawkeye, Volume 1 by Matt Fraction. Next, this is an oversized book. This is one of my favorite books that came out in the past year or so. It's called Red One. Oh, look at that. So, Terry Dodson is the artist on this book. He's one of my favorite artists. And I met him at Comic-Con this past year. And he did a little sketch and signed it. So that's cool. Look at his art. It's great. So the script is by Xavier Dorison. And art is by Terry Dodson, whose wife does the inks. So what this is about, it's interesting, this book, they decided to do something they do, and I believe in Europe, where instead of books coming out once a month, they'll come out twice a year, but they'll be thicker and more substantial. See, look at all these panels. I can't even fit it in the camera. And the art is very detailed. It's not like a normal comic book issue where you could tell they take kind of shortcuts with the art to get it done on time. It's just a really nice book. I would suggest getting this one in trade form because this oversized book is just really nice hardcover. Really nice matte pages. It's great. So what this one is about is this woman is a Soviet spy, basically, that comes to America and has to blend in and stuff. It sounds like a bit of a generic story, but it's just done so well. So for those of you who might like a spy, sort of strong female protagonist, kind of has a good sense of humor, a lot of action, pretty text heavy, a lot of dialogue. It's kind of a fish out of water story. It's just done really well, so this is one that I would suggest for those who might be into more female-led books. Red One, and this is an Image, I believe, title. Yes, Image Comics. Okay, so, as many of you know, I am a huge Superman fan. So, we're gonna go through a good number of Superman books that I'm gonna suggest for different types of people who might be into different types of stories. This first one, The Adventures of Superman Volume 1, is, here it says, Adventures of Superman is a must-read for Superman fans. And I agree, at least of the modern Superman stuff. This is, basically when the New 52 came out. I guess DC decided since they were doing such different things with Superman. Oh, and this is one of my favorite Superman drawings ever, by Chris Samnee. Look at that. And it starts with a story drawn by Chris Samnee, who's one of my favorite artists. And I just love how he draws Superman. It's such a classic but clean look. One of my favorite panels is right here. Superman punching himself in the face. So anyway, when DC decided to do kind of a new take on Superman in the New 52, I'm guessing they put this out for the classic Superman fans. Because this book is basically kind of a collection of short, classic Superman stories, or at least done in a classic way. This one is by Jeff Lemire, who is a super busy writer right now, but it's a very sweet little story about two kids playing Superman. And, I don't know, this book is just so good. Volume 2 and Volume 3 are good, but Volume 1 is the best. If you're a fan of classic Superman, the Big Blue Boy Scout style, pick this up. Adventures of Superman Volume 1. I'm going to put links to each book on Amazon in the below the video, so you guys can check it out and maybe buy some. And if there's an overwhelming response to this, telling me to read one of these, I will do that. So if any of these really interest you guys, let me know. Next is another absolute classic, All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and art by Frank Quitely. This is, so the current Superman American Alien miniseries that is being written by Max Landis is excellent. And he gives credit to this storyline as to his inspiration for the direction he took with that story. This is one of the most beautifully written, and although I do like the art and I recognize it's excellent, it's just not really the art that I love. I don't really love the use of heavy gradients, see, like this. I kind of like the more solid colors, but it doesn't bother me in this. This is just so incredibly well written and kind of an emotional take on Superman, and kind of discovers his relevance in our current world, and why he is important in a symbolic sense. So, I could talk about this one all day. All-Star Superman. It comes in either issues, of course, or they have trades where you could buy them, number 1 and number 2, but this one collects the entire story, so this is the one I would suggest. All-Star Superman. Oh, Sorry. And I didn't tell you the past couple of books are just within the past couple of years. So let me tell you what year this was from. I forgot. I think like maybe 2012. Okay, 2011. This is from. So still pretty recent. Although that was already 5 years ago. Jesus. Next, this is my favorite Superman story ever. It is written by Darwin Cook, who actually is mostly an artist, an excellent artist, and drawn by Tim Sale, who is one of my absolute favorites. I have talked about this book a couple of times. It's really, if you ask me, the perfect treatment of Superman. It shows him just with, his his incredible amount of power, but it also shows an incredible amount of emotional vulnerability that he has. I'm going to show you my favorite panel right here. Superman comes home after almost dying, and he's holding his cape like a little kid. I don't know. And he hugs his mom. There's just something so human about the Superman in this story that it's just so worth reading. I highly, highly recommend this one. You could probably get it for like $8 on Amazon. It's called Kryptonite. Now this book, when it was released in issues, was under the title of Superman Confidential. And I believe if you want the issues, this is Superman Confidential number 1 through 6. And this came out in 2008. Next, another Superman. This one, drawn by Tim Sale again, except this one has been written by Jeff Loeb. This is Superman for all seasons. This is a different take on Superman as well. Kind of another sentimental take. It is split up into 4 different short stories that all come together, kind of. And it is how Superman is seen through the people in his life. Now, Spring, see it's split up. Spring is through the prism of, I believe, his father. It's a great page. Then one is through the eyes of Lois Lane. One is through the eyes of Lex Luthor. How Lex Luthor has this strange respect and love for Superman, which is kind of what fuels his anger and hate. And then, I don't know why, I can't remember. Maybe Jimmy, sorry. Then the last one is through Lana, his first girlfriend. So, this is great for people who kind of might be into a more poetic and tender story. Superman for all seasons. It's excellent. That is what I have in trade and in issues. Another Superman. This is Superman Birthright. Another one written by Mark Waid. This is, so if you, are interested in getting into Superman, this is kind of an origin story, but redone a bit. I mean, most people know Superman's origin, but this is like a modern take on his origin, and just has one of the best endings of a modern comic. It's just so good the way this ends, especially if you love Superman. The ending is just got me a little teary-eyed, I'm not gonna lie. This one was from 2004. Superman Birthright. Moving on from Superman. Green Lantern Rebirth. So if you are interested in Green Lantern's origin, I would suggest picking up Green Lantern's Secret Origin by Jeff Johns. It's a capable telling of his, or competent telling of his origin. But this is takes place after Hal Jordan is paralyzed. So, okay, rewinding a bit. In the 90s, after the death of Superman's story where they destroyed Green Lantern's home city, Coast City, Hal Jordan, who is Green Lantern, goes crazy and basically turns into a humongously or incredibly powerful bad guy named Parallax. And it turns out Parallax is really just the embodiment of fear. So Hal Jordan eliminates that from himself. And this story, Rebirth, is basically the coming out of Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern, as a good guy again. And this kicks off the Jeff Johns run in Green Lantern, which is, I think, his best work, and culminates in the Blackest Night event. Leading up to this, there's a ton of books, probably maybe 8 to a dozen, I don't remember exactly, trades that you get really cheap, some for like $6. But I would suggest starting with this one. If you have absolutely no Green Lantern knowledge, try Green Lantern Secret Origin, because he's probably the most difficult to understand of all of the DC superheroes. He kind of has his own little cosmic universe, which I love about this character. So, Green Lantern Rebirth by Jeff Johns. Moving on to Batman. This is in no particular order, guys, just the order I pulled it off my shelf. Another Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale book. This book, I'm not the biggest Batman fan, but there are some Batman stories I love. And actually, there's one I wanted to show you guys that I realized just as I was doing this video that I have lent out to a friend, and it's my favorite Batman title. It's called Batman R.I.P., written by Grant Morrison. It's a very unique take on Batman. Basically, Batman has to climb into the depths of his own psyche to battle. This one, however, is a great just crime story. So if you're into crime and like a noir sort of feel, this is an excellent story. And they did take elements of this story and use it in the Dark Knight movie. That was the second one with Two-Face and Heath Ledger as the Joker. So if you loved that movie, likely you will love this story. It's kind of like just a big whodunit, and it's excellent. It's very well done. And of course, the art is great. As always, Tim Sale. Very clean, but at the same time, not too overproduced looking. Just very unique, but stylish. I love it. Batman. Oh, I didn't even tell you what it's called. It's called Batman The Long Halloween. Next, for those of you who might be interested in Marvel comics, but in a more kind of alternative style. This is Peter Milligan and Mike Allred's X-Force. I feel like this story is actually more relevant today than when it came out, which is, let's see, 2000. I can't find a date. 2001 and 2002. So basically, this is the new X-Force of the time, drawn by Mike Allred, if you could tell from those just extremely bright and attractive colors and thick, bold lines and just very unique style. I love his art. It's a very pop art style. So, this story is about the X Factor team being put together basically as a reality show. The members of the team could die off or get kicked out, and people basically watch them on TV. And, they sell merchandise, and they a lot of them care more about their public appearance over actually doing good. And then there's some elements of them choosing a leader, and some of them want the leader that would be the best leader, and some of them want the one who's more popular. It's just a very unique take on reality TV and how it intertwines with morality and how it affects, the ideals that we hold up. And it's also got a lot of humor in it. It's got Dupe, who's a crazy character. And some of this story is kind of trippy and weird. See, it's really good. This is the omnibus, whatever you say. Is this page? I believe this art is by. This is Darwin Cook. I forgot. Let's see. Because I just told you about Darwin Cook. Let's see. Oh yeah, with Darwin Cook. So that Superman story I told you about is written by Darwin Cook. This is Darwin Cook's art. Almost like a Disney, but a little different. I don't know. I really like his art though. Not too far off from Mike Allred's. And this is back to Mike Allred, I believe. So, if you're looking for kind of something different, here, a cogent, savage deconstruction on celebrity culture in the guise of an X-Men spin-off. A witty blast of media criticism disguised as a garish spin-off of the X-Men. So if you're one of those people who likes something a little different, try the X-Force. There are a lot of different versions of the X-Force. This is the Milligan and Allred X-Force Omnibus. And then after this, what this team turns into is X-Statix. X-STATIX. Which, if you like that, you will definitely like X-Statix. Oh boy. Next. This one is a bit heavy and very serious. Silver Surfer Requiem by Straczynski, who has done a lot of different things. I believe he did a Judge Dredd. Maybe I'm wrong. He did more. I don't know why I can't think of any off the top of my head. Jeez, this always bothers me. Anyway, this is a story about basically Silver Surfer finds out he is dying. Some for some reason, the powers that were given to him are causing him now to die slowly. And he's basically going around to those that have touched him. And basically saying his goodbyes. And it's beautifully painted. Look at that. And it's beautifully told. If you're a fan of Silver Surfer, definitely pick this one up. It's one of Silver Surfer's best solo stories. The Silver Surfer's final voyage. If you are someone who likes more of a dramatic story, very serious, almost, I don't think there's any humor at all. Silver Surfer Requiem. Highly, highly recommend that. Another serious book. And another different take. This is a Marvel story called The Sentry. Now this one is very interesting because, let's see if you open to the back, it shows you. Marvel was doing this thing where they were putting out press releases about a hero that's been around for a long time. Basically, billing him as Marvel's Superman. However, he was not around for a long time. So they kind of played a trick on people. And this story is about a guy who's basically has some serious problems. Mental problems or addiction problems as well. And he has this vague memory of being a superhero, yet nobody else does. See, this is his memories of being the Sentry. But really, in real life, he's just a guy. And he's trying to convince people at some point that he was the Sentry. He goes to Reed Richards, as he puts on a cape, and it isn't quite known if he's telling the truth or not, or if he's delusional. He goes to Reed Richards, who doesn't remember who he is, and tries to remind him of who he was. I'm not going to tell you guys if he was successful or not, but this is a very good, mature take on addiction, loss of identity, love lost, all those things. So, again, if you're into more dramatic stories, The Sentry is definitely worth giving a shot. That's just one trade. So, next, some more serious. This is kind of serious and kind of fun and just super violent. This is the Punisher Max series by Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis does a lot of war stories and comics, so the Punisher is kind of a good fit for him. The Marvel Max series is kind of an adult themed. There is some nudity and a ton of violence. Look at this, like really serious violence and mature themes and stuff. But it's well done. Some of it I think is a bit overkill, but each one of these trades, I think I have 1 through 10 or 1 through 9. But each one of these trades, this is number 1, are standalone story arcs. Basically like, these gangsters are doing this, and the Punisher comes to wipe them all out. It's not anything new. but it's just very well done and entertaining. And if you're into like super violent crime noir, it kind of has a similar feeling to the Daredevil TV show. However, it's a bit more, I guess, adult themed. So, The Punisher Max by Garth Ennis. Quickly, next, I'm going to show you. Highly recommend reading this. I did a reading of this and the Infinity Gauntlet story because this is basically the lead up to the Infinity Gauntlet. But I did read this to you guys. If you want to go back in my videos, I actually have a playlist of all the videos. It's like probably 7 hours of straight reading in a playlist, so check that out. But always recommend actually reading it for yourself. So this is the Silver Surfer Rebirth of Thanos, which leads into the Infinity Gauntlet. This is one of my favorite story arcs in comics. Next we're gonna have some Daredevil. Let's start with old and then go to new. Daredevil, The Man Without Fear by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. One of the most classic comic book stories ever. This is a Frank Miller said he wanted to make the Daredevil Bible, and that's what he did with this. And it's a retelling of his origin, but it's just so perfectly done. It's amazing, and it is also the introduction to Elektra by Frank Miller, who created Elektra. It's just this one. I would say if you have any interest in Daredevil, buy it now. If you like the TV show, if you like the character, this is excellent. It's from a while ago, as you can tell from the art. But it doesn't feel dated whatsoever when it comes to the story. I would even suggest getting the trades because these are the covers and they're these nice kind of metallic finish on them, and they pop out of the page and they're just really nice. And you could get them fairly cheap. I believe you could get the whole set on eBay for maybe $25 of issue 1 through 5. Or you could pick up this trade for I believe about $12 on Amazon. Of course, I'll put the link up. So Daredevil, The Man Without Fear. Highly recommended. Next, Daredevil by Mark Waid. And although this is done by Rivera, the artist that did the most art on this run was Chris Samnee. But it started with Rivera. I did a look through of all the issues in this run in one of my videos, one of my first couple of videos, but I couldn't leave it out. This is volume 1. However, I would highly recommend picking up all the volumes. They are expensive because they are a sought-after comic. I have the hardcover trades as well as the entire run, including all the variants in issue form. But they have trades in softcover for cheaper. I can't say enough good things about this. This is the story or the run that made me love Daredevil. So, if you're into kind of a good, really solid mix of humor mixed with dealing with depression, isolation, even some handicaps, it's got everything. This book. This is, I think, one of the most complete comic runs when it comes to entertaining, emotional, all that. Daredevil. Next, I have spoken about these a bit. This is the Color series by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Now, they actually have a more recent version or more recent addition to this collection called Captain America White. That just finished. I do not have that in trade. I plan on buying the hardcover when they collect all three of these with the Captain America making 4. I do like the Daredevil yellow the best. It's a really nice take on his origin, but it's not redundant. If you read Man Without Fear and this, you're not going to get much overlap when it comes to story. This focuses a lot on his relationship with his dad, with his father, and how it has affected him and made him a superhero. It's very well done, and of course, the bad guy that is featured in this is, I think, my favorite bad guy in Daredevil's life, and that is the Purple Man, who basically can manipulate the emotions of people. And that it plays in really well with this story. Hulk Gray is another great one that kind of explores abusive relationships. And it's just, very well done again. All of these stories have a bit of an adult take on the origins of these characters. However, Spider-Man Blue is not really the telling of the origin. It's basically a love letter from Peter Parker to Gwen Stacy shortly after she dies. It's narrated in this Blue by Peter Parker, and it's looking back on different aspects of their lives together and adventures and stuff. And, his issues with Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy when he wasn't sure who he loves and all that. And his relationship with Harry Osborn is explored a bit, but all under the umbrella of a love letter to Gwen Stacy, who is, at this point, not alive anymore. So that's Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow, and Hulk Gray. Next, we're going to go a bit back in time, and this is Jim Starlin's The Death of Captain Marvel. This story actually still has some ripples of effect. It was extremely important. This story is from 1974. So this issue, which I actually have, is an important issue. It is back significantly before the Death of Captain Marvel story itself, but it's showing you basically Captain Marvel comes down with cancer. I don't know, comes down with cancer, but he has it. And it tells you of how he got it earlier in his life. By absorbing the blast of nitro way back in issue 34. And then he finds out later on in his life that is what caused him to develop cancer. And it's just, again, a very different take. Showing the frustration of different good guys, even bad guys who respect him. And, see, they surround him with love, and, he kind of deals with the fear and the hopelessness, but then gives a bit of an optimistic take on the whole thing. So it's a bit heavy, but it's very well done. So if you like very dramatic, kind of old school take on the death of a superhero, this is a great one. The Death of Captain Marvel. And again, an important part of Marvel history. Next is another one that's a bit old. This is the volume 1 of Grant Morrison's Animal Man. This is, if you do buy this, I would say be a little patient because the first couple of issues seem just very, plain old school comics. Still very well done. But then all of a sudden, this strange stuff starts to happen. This self-awareness of the comic itself. This in particular right here, where they, out of nowhere, have a coyote show up. It's almost like a tangent that has nothing to do with the story. And it turns out this coyote came from a cartoon world, and he can't die, but he's trying. It's very strange. And like I said, it's very meta. It knows, or there's an awareness of it being a comic. And as you can see, Grant Morrison starts to write himself into the story. There he is with the brush. And then the next issue goes on as if that never happened. And what he does is he keeps, throughout the story, suggesting that the creator is an important part. And so this was a revolutionary comic in that I believe it was the first one to really be self-aware and have Animal Man aware that he's in a comic, which is something Deadpool does a ton now, but this was the first. So Animal Man by Grant Morrison, Volume 1, and then I highly recommend continuing reading this through Volume 2 and 3. Next, a bit of candy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Change is Constant, Volume 1. This was the first volume of the current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run. And, it's just this Volume 1 kind of is a reintroduction, origin story. Done very well. And if you're a fan of the Ninja Turtles, this is not a children's version, although it's not super adult, but it is, for probably the older crowd who grew up with Ninja Turtles. I guess similar to the original Ninja Turtles story, the comic was violent and not made for kids, so it seems like they're kind of going back to that. As you can see, they originally all had red bandanas, and they do that here. They eventually have their own colors, but if you're a fan of Ninja Turtles, this is a very good run. I have not read the whole run. I've read the first maybe 5 volumes and did like all of them, so maybe you want to get into Ninja Turtles, and you can't go wrong with this. Next. This is a bit of a different story. This is by Warren Ellis, who wrote the Moon Knight story arc that I read to you guys in full. Warren Ellis also wrote Transmetropolitan and is currently writing Karnak for Marvel. This is a very strange, unique story about basically gods on Earth. And the different gods actually come to life or are real. And they're destroying the world. And people are basically destroying themselves, either following the gods or trying to fight them. And it's a very unique metaphorical take on religion and faith and the benefits and downfalls of them. So, very well done. It's called Super God by Warren Ellis by Avatar Comics. Could probably get this for $8 on the internet. If you're looking for something serious, if you're into religion religious themes and a bit of violence. That's a good one. Next, moving to the, I guess, zany. Fun with Milk and Cheese. This is volume 1. If you were a child of the 90s, or a teenager of the 90s even more so, this is right up your alley. This is written by Evan Dorkin. And it's just absolute chaos. There is you know how these days it's cool to make fun of hipsters and the like. But this is back in the early 90s when it was fun to make fun of grunge kids and Generation Xers, which has done a whole lot in this. Milk and cheese, dairy products gone bad. So if you're into that, like, look at this, like, super heavy text, there is some, I guess, not so politically correct elements to this. A lot of violence, cursing, it's just chaos. But it's really well done and really funny. I rarely actually laugh at comics, but this one always gets me. Milk and Cheese is a relic of the 90s, and anytime I want to get back there, I open this up. I loved this as a kid, and I still love it now. Milk and Cheese. Next. Another Grant Morrison. I guess he is one of my favorite writers. And this one is drawn by Frank Quietly, whatever. Oh, Drew All-Star Superman. It's called We 3. A sophisticated tale of morality and innocence that you surely will not forget. This is a book for the animal lover. It's about 3 animals, a dog, a cat, and a rabbit that get modified, robotically modified, to basically be living weapons. And the short of it is, they escape and have to work together to find a comfortable life and someone to love them. It's sad, but it does have a happy ending mostly. So, I highly recommend this. Like I said, for the animal lover, We 3 by Grant Morrison. It's another indie one. Next, The Manhattan Projects by Jonathan Hickman. This is volume 1, and this is a Image title. I believe this is up to volume 5 now. It's a very strange book. I would say if you're into very kind of obscure science fiction and almost abstract ideas and a little bit of chaos, this is a great book for you. Might feel that. It features basically scientists of different eras, or even just military figures of certain eras, that basically work in a paranormal and extraterrestrial capacity in secret, and just all kinds of absolutely insane things happen. I can't even get into it because it's so weird. But if you're into just very, very strange, science-based, just sci-fi, check this out. The Manhattan Projects by Jonathan Hickman. Jonathan Hickman is the one who wrote Secret Wars and a million other great things. Next, I can't suggest this enough. Mike Allred's Madman. Anybody is into comic books should read Mad Men. The art alone is amazing. The story is even better. A little insight into Mike Allred. He was a Mormon. And I think it's quite clear that in his Mad Men comics, he is dealing with the religion that he was raised with. There is a lot of existential sort of exploration, always done with a touch of humor and a lot of color. The first several issues are black and white, although they're so good and immersive you won't even realize. But once they come in with the color, it's beautiful. It's just a very unique book. It's not like anything I've ever read. I feel like a lot of comics tried to be what Mad Men was and just have failed or not quite gotten there. I don't think there ever will be a comic that is as strange yet relatable yet crazy and wacky as Mike Allred's Mad Men. There's also great variants in the back that you can check out and see. But this is volume 1. There is volume 1, 2, and 3. So there's Mad Men, and then there's Mad Men Atomic Comics. Go for Mad Men, straight Mad Men first. I would say if you're going to spend money on any of these books, I would do All-Star Superman and Mad Men so far. So this is called It's a Bird by Stephen D. Siegel. What this is a very serious take on Superman through the eyes of a writer. So this writer was tasked with writing a Superman story, and he had trouble at first thinking Superman is lame. Just a very powerful good guy, and that's it. But as the story goes on and he analyzes the character and also incorporates his own relationships in his life and things going on to his writing, he starts to see the importance of Superman, the importance of a character that represents just hope and positivity. I would highly recommend this to anyone who is looking for a more serious adult graphic novel. It deals with family, life, love, death, and Superman. So, It's a Bird. Second to last. Superman Red Sun. This is considered a classic amongst comic book fans. Written by Mark Millar, who is known for Kick-Ass and Wanted and other stories. Old Man Logan. This is basically about if Superman, instead of landing in Kansas, if he landed in communist Russia, and growing up thinking communism is the right way to be, and basically through threatening violence tries to convert the world to communism. So, very interesting take. Lastly, Astro City by Kurt Busiek. This is I think eventually a Vertigo title. I don't know if this is released under Vertigo initially. But this might be for those of you who might have tried superhero comics and it didn't quite do it for you. Because this is a different take on a world where superheroes live. The city's called Astro City, of course. And there are many different superheroes that live here. And, it's just another one that's a different take on superhero life, how they interact with the public and that sort of thing. Very well done. And all of the covers are drawn by Alex Ross, who did Kingdom Come, so we have come full circle with Alex Ross. Astro City. And that's it for today, guys. Like I said, those are only the trades that I did. Not necessarily all of my absolute favorite stories, because some I have in only issues. But those are some very great, very good trades to get started on. All you could get fairly cheap on Amazon. In that collection, there were some of my absolute favorites, so I don't want to downplay any of those. They are all great choices if you want to get back into comics or want to get into them in the first place. Trades are a great place to start. I'm going to do another video where I give you guys more suggestions of starting off points for modern comics. If you're looking to go into the comic book store and get started, I will do a video focusing mainly on that, so look out for that. We're also going to finish our Civil War reading soon. So, that's it, guys. I will see you soon.